everybody. Thank you for joining me, and if you are new, welcome. I figured I would go outside and enjoy the somewhat nice weather before the storms roll in. And so I have my cup of coffee and I am ready to go and finally ready to catch up on my reviews. I am feeling much better now, minus a little bit of congestion, but I mean, it's the weather. Come on. Let's face it, it's going to happen. It is that time of the year. So let's begin. All right, so first up we have Damage by Josephine Hart. And this was not usually the type of book that I really read. I'm just not into affairs. But I was very intrigued, and so I thought I would give it a shot. And yes, there is a Netflix series on it, and it's called Obsession. I have only gotten through the first episode, and I don't know if I can honestly watch the rest of it, just because to me it's cringe. But the book itself, WTF. There is a lot of spice in there. However, what really intrigued me were the characters and the motivations, and I still have so many questions that I don't think that I will ever get the answers to. Essentially, it follows the story of a father, his son, and his son's fiancée, Anna. Well, the father and Anna have an affair, and it goes through how it affects the entire family, the husband's wife, his son, and even Anna herself. But where I think my mind is like, why? I get some of Anna's motivations, a lot of it stemming from her past, but the airport scene near the end, like, that's where most of my questions are, and I want to know. But I don't think I ever will, but that's okay. If you have not read this book, I do recommend you at least reading it once. It was really interesting, and I did like how the cause and effect played out, and how our choices can lead to permanent, everlasting decisions. So yeah, I recommend giving this one a shot if you haven't read it. The next book that I read was Cruel King by Rena Kent, and if you have not read this book, I do recommend it. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. It follows the story of Astrid Clifford and Levi King, and both of these characters, they have their own traumas that they're dealing with, but they are also on different side of the school spectrum of popularity. Levi King is the soccer captain and Mr. Popularity, while Astrid is an artist and somewhat of an outcast. She tries to keep low and stay unnoticed, and Levi King becomes obsessed and very possessive of her, and she just wants to be left alone. But they do end up coming together and figuring things out. I will say that I really enjoyed the twist. I was not expecting it, and I love when books do that, where I think it's going to go one way and then it goes the other. So I, like I said, I do recommend it if you have not read it. It was really interesting and really good. The next book that I read was Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, and this book was really interesting and really good. Talk about unhinged characters. This book had a lot of twists and turns in it that I was not expecting, so I enjoyed that as well. But it follows the story of Mother Laurel, whose daughter Ellie goes missing, and she never really gets closure to find out what happened to her. But as the story goes, I like that it interchanges between Laurel's perspective and Ellie's perspective and kind of what she went through. And You meet interesting characters such as Laurel's new boyfriend, Floyd, who has a little daughter named Poppy. And then you meet another character named Noelle, who tutored Ellie. And so it's just interesting to see the dynamic between all the characters and how each kind of, I guess you could say, interlocked, and how cause and effect played out in Ellie's disappearance. And again, like I said, when I thought the book was going to go one way, it went another way entirely, and I really enjoyed that. So if you have not read this book, I do recommend it. The ending was really good. It was also really sad. It's just wild to think that so this next book is probably my favorite read so far. It is Where He Can't Find You by Dari Coates. And oh my gosh, I absolutely love this book. It is super interesting, and the story was just beautifully written. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, sorry if you can't tell, I really, really enjoyed this book. So it follows a town that is plagued by a monster called the Stitcher, who, if he takes you, will pretty much dismember you and put you back together in a macabre body part collection display. I don't know quite how to explain it, but so there are these two sisters that live in this town, Abby and Hope, and when Hope gets kidnapped by the Stitcher, Abby has to decide how far she's willing to go to get her sister back before it's too late. And I did really thoroughly enjoy the ending. I like that it showed the aftermath of everything that had happened. It wasn't sugar-coated or just all happy-go-lucky. And I really, really enjoyed this book. It did have some good twists, and I like the lore behind the story and how the Stitcher came to be. So if you have not read this, I definitely recommend reading it. It was definitely one of my favorites. This book will probably be in my top 20, and I will probably read it again. The next book that I read, well, I didn't really read physically, but I listened to through Audible, is The Highlander, Still's a Virgin by Maddie McKenna. And I had a slight problem with reading this book because the main character's name is Mara, and my daughter is also named Mara. So I was like trying to separate the two, but I know that's a personal issue. Other than that, I thought that the story was good. I did have a slight problem with the other main character, Reese, who falls for Amara. While I understand that he wants to give her a voice and a choice, I wish that he would have fought for her more, or at least showed her that he wanted her to stay around. And I also liked the aspect of the father. I do feel bad for her that she was abandoned by her father, and that her father never really showed her affection or anything like that after a certain point. But overall, it was a good read. I would recommend at least reading it once. It was not bad. The next Audible book that I listened to was Twisted Lies by, I believe it's pronounced Anna Huang. And this book was okay. You have Harper, who's a landlord who is secretly obsessed / desires Stella. And Stella, who doesn't really want to follow her family's thoughts of what she should do with her life, tries to make her own way. And the one thing that I will give Harper credit for is for him standing up for Stella to her family. That I did enjoy. It does have some spice, but overall, I mean, it was okay. Would I read it again or listen to it again? Maybe, maybe not. It wasn't a bad story. It just was not one of my favorites. So if you have read this book, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Like I said, to each their own. And while this book wasn't bad, it just probably wasn't for me, and that's okay. And the last book that I also listened through Audible was Wrong Brother, Right Match by Jennifer Shirk. And I honestly had high hopes for this one. The synopsis sounded amazing. And while I did enjoy the story, which follows Kennedy and her fiance's brother Matt, I do feel like it was a little rushed, but overall I thought that the story was cozy, and I do like the hard choices that Kennedy has to make, and I found it to be pretty interesting, and I do like the concept of the story that Kennedy, who is trying to start up a matchmaking service based on AI and statistics, learns that sometimes life is more than just statistics. It's a mess, or there are messes that get in the way of things like emotions and this, that, the other, things that are just as important as statistics. And so I thought that that was a really good aspect to the story. And if you have not read it, I mean, it was an okay read. Like I said, I just felt like the chemistry and connection and desire between Matt and Kennedy felt a little rushed for me, but overall the story was pretty good. And that concludes me catching up on my TBR, or well, not my TBR, but my book reviews. So feel free to join me next time, and hopefully I will stay concurrent with my readings. It's just, like I said in a previous video, it has just been a bit of a wild ride for me right now. But yeah, other than that, I have another mystery box video coming up soon, and I may end up start taking y'all with me if y'all are interested to do other things like Goodwill shopping, which I will admit I'm addicted to, and so we shall see. But again, join me next time, and I'll see y'all in the next one.